All right, everybody. So I am going to show you how you can get Apple CarPlay on an older vehicle. This is a 2008 Acura TL. And before we start, I just wanted to say that this particular setup is going to be a little bit more challenging than it could be just because the car's so old. So I got this unit off of Navtool.com. So unfortunately, my navigation unit is in my trunk. So I have to connect a bunch of stuff back there and then route it all the way to the front of the car. On top of that, the touchscreen is so old that you can't use this touchscreen's touching functions with the Apple CarPlay, and instead you have to use this remote. So they do have a setup where you can just throw it right behind this unit, and then you can also use the touchscreen that came with your car or one of your knobs. So I don't have that functionality, but that being said, this really took the car to the next level, and it made it jump up about 10 years in technology. So I'll start with what was in the box and show you what I set up here. All right, so out of the box I have the device. I also have a wire-specific harness for my car. It's a 2008 Acura TL. These look like some audio cables. This looks like it is a device for a remote. So it comes with this this remote that clips to the steering wheel, and I think this is like something related to that. This is a device that I think needs to be in close proximity to the wireless remote. This is what connects to the navigation system in my trunk, USB cable, and a microphone. So I think the task will be to figure out what all these wires do. Alright, so I did have to take this guy and connect it to the computer in order to update the software on it. Ironically, the USB cable that came with it didn't work, so I just had to use another USB cable. But there's a website a video on their website about how to do that. So I sort of got everything laid out here, and it's a little confusing, but the good news is most of these wires you don't have to really use. And if you go through, I mean, there's, these 4 wires are for video inputs in case you wanted to have a backup camera, the front camera, the side camera. Some of these are triggers for, knowing if your car's in reverse and stuff like that. So the majority of these you don't have to use if you're just doing what I'm doing, which is just getting CarPlay and mirroring. So this box needs power. So because it needs power, it needs a ground and a power wire. So there's a black wire that's here. So I just have this connected to a ground. In my car, I just used that ground because there's other things that are grounded there. And then the red wire needs to be hooked up to some type of power source that is only on when your car is on. So in my case, I have my navigation unit here in the trunk, and in my car there's a wire. It's sort of hard to see. It is sort of like yellow red, and if you connect to that wire, then it is a 12 volt power that's only on when the car's on. So I mean, you can find those all over your car, so find one of those. Other than that, so I need to connect these two. The only other two things, well, a couple things actually. So one thing I need to connect is this guy. So this is the microphone. So this will run to the front of my car, because when you hook up CarPlay, there's a lot of things that use the microphone. So you could use that also, I'm assuming, probably for Bluetooth calling as well. So then there is a audio output here. So this, you don't have to use it, but if you're gonna use CarPlay, I'd recommend using it. So like, for example, I have a Bluetooth thing in my car, but when I was just sort of testing this out, if I connect it to the Bluetooth thing, then it'll work. The audio will come through the Bluetooth and it'll be good. But then once I activate Siri, then it wants to connect back to the CarPlay audio source. So if you connect this to auxiliary in your car, then it will allow the audio to come through there. So this is just a wide cable. So it has this on one side, the two audio things on one side, and then on the other side is just a normal 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and then this black thing is an extension, so it'll run all the way to the front of the car. So, and then Navtool gave you 2 of these extensions because you're going to need one for this, and the other thing you'll need an extension for is there's a remote. This wireless remote goes on your steering wheel, but in order for it to work, it needs to be in proximity of this little I don't know what this thing is. So this thing, at the end of it, when you trace it, it actually comes out to be just a normal 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and that connects here. So it's one of these ones here. So anyway, so that again needs to be ran from my trunk in my scenario all the way to the front of the car. I think that's it actually. So like right now, the way I have it hooked up is, you know, the plug and play harness. In my case, it's in the trunk. So this goes, and this is a T-harness. So one side comes from what was actually coming from my car, and the other side goes into my factory navigation unit, and then it plugs into here. So, and I know in a lot of cars, especially newer cars, this is all done up near the radio, but in my car, it's still back here. So I'm just going to, oh, you know, the only other thing I gotta run actually to the front is, so there's two ports on the front here. There's a USB port and an HDMI port. If you wanna use CarPlay, you have to have this USB port connected to your phone. If you wanna use the mirroring, you have to have this HDMI port connected to your phone. Usually that'll probably go through the like HDMI to Lightning adapter that Apple has. So in my case, I'm just doing the CarPlay, so I'm gonna have to run a USB cable from this guy in the back of my car all the way to the front of my car where my phone will be plugged in. And in my case, I think I'll probably just use a USB extender and then, you know, use the Lightning cable once I get closer to the front of my car. So I'm going to sort of tuck all these wires in and I will be back. So again, in my case, I have to run 4 wires from my trunk to the front of the car. So this wire is an extender for the microphone. This wire is going to be an extender for that little thing that needs to be used for the remote to work, that little receiver. This is a USB extender because eventually I will need to run this from the Navtool box back to a Lightning cable that will connect to my phone. And the last one is going to connect to that blue Y cable that I have. So those 4 wires are going in my trunk. In my particular car, you go through here, and then I have some other stuff here, but I'm going to hide it under this pillar, and then this pillar, and then it'll be hidden under this pillar, and then just go straight through here, and then like the microphone will come up to here probably. You know, that receiver might be like here or something, and then the auxiliary port, the auxiliary cable actually needs to be ran in somewhere in there. All right, so I got things a little bit more cleaned up now, but I still got a mess back here, but I got the 4 wires that run through, and they come back through there, and then they run through on this channel, and again they run through here. And again, I have 4 things that are hooked up. First, the microphone is here, eventually it'll be up here. I got this sensor, and I think because this is gonna be right here, I think the sensor might work best to like be right here or something. Then I ran my USB extender through here, under there, and it eventually pops out to a Lightning cable, which will be tucked in there. And the last thing is my auxiliary port, which runs then and drops down into there, and it sort of runs through this channel. So, you know, I have a lot of stuff torn up here. If you were doing this differently, I mean, you could have these, I mean, some people could just have it pop up from here and not have to take apart all this stuff up there at all. So yeah, so hopefully we'll get it cleaned up, and then I'll have a final video here. So I got everything connected here. So I have the steering wheel wireless controller here. I got that little receiver is down there just with a little bit of Velcro. Got the microphone up here. This is an old microphone with another system that I need to disconnect. My auxiliary cord again runs through here, and then my auxiliary port's in here, so I just had to throw it in there. And then this is the Lightning cable. So I'm gonna turn on the vehicle. So when you turn it on, you get your factory navigation. And then we'll do that. Alright, so this is just my normal navigation setup thing here, the factory one. So to activate this system, you just hit the power button here, and then once you hit that, you get a couple options. So this is the HDMI screening option, or screen mirroring option, and then this is CarPlay, and then these are some of the cameras. So the CarPlay one isn't activated until you connect your phone. So I got my phone here, and I'm just gonna plug in the cable. So once you plug in the cable, now this lights up. So now with the remote, I can click here and then hit CarPlay. Alright, so now we're in the CarPlay function. So I'm using this remote, but you just have, you know, your normal stuff here. So if you want to, this is sort of like the home screen, where you can go and you can use this remote. You can, I'm still getting used to this. Oh yeah, so like I can, you know, play music here, and then the music is going through that aux cable down here.
Working on a weekend like usual.
And then let's see, so this button activates Siri, so I can be, hey Siri, give me directions to Menards.
It's Menards on US Highway 12. Let me know if you want to hear the whole list.
And then, you know, I can click to, you know, navigate to Menards. But yeah, other than that, let's see, you have, so I'm just going to go back and not do those directions, but there's just like a whole list of just the Apple CarPlay stuff. So like, you know, calendars on here, but these are some of the apps that you can use with it. And I think this is something that gets updated all the time. But I'm not 100% sure. So that's sort of that. If you guys have questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks.